Hey friends, welcome back to Axial GT. While working on my upcoming 10-cent video describing the control the company has over gaming and the repercussions it has, Amazon Game Studios dropped some news on New World detailing the faction war system. In this video, we'll go over all the information we were told in the news article, and I will link the article in the description. A lot of information was already rumored, but now we have confirmation on how faction wars actually work. Now, most of us following Amazon's New World know the game was delayed due to what is going on in the world. But just in case you missed that update, here's a short clip explaining the delay from Scott Lane, Game Director of New World.
Hi folks, I'm Scott Lane, Game Director on New World. I hope you're all staying safe during these uncertain times. Like most of you, things have changed pretty dramatically for us in the way we work and live these past few months. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, our entire team had to transition to working from home. We're still working hard and we're making progress, but because game development is so collaborative and highly technical, the remote work situation has exposed some problems we're still trying to work through. As a result, we've had to make the difficult decision of pushing New World's launch date to August 25th, 2020.
Now, what wasn't shared in that video was the beta actually starts in July. Just a little FYI. Now, before we get into the new info dump and developer diary drop, I'll give you my mindset when it comes to Amazon's New World. Number one is, yes, I am excited for the game. How excited? Well, it did push me to finally replace my brutally old gaming laptop that kicked the bucket about 2 years ago. I pre-ordered the new Asus TUF gaming laptop. It will have the new Ryzen 4800H CPU paired with an NVIDIA 2060 GPU. Should be a beast of a laptop. It'll make it easier to game and also make extra content while I'm traveling. I'd been meaning to get a new gaming laptop for a while, but I guess I just needed an excuse. So thanks to Amazon's New World, it was just the excuse I needed. Now with that being said, and even though I am excited for the game, I do have my worries and concerns. I've never really been a fan of pre-ordering, but I did pre-order New World. One of the last games that I pre-ordered was Fallout 76, and we all know how that turned out. But in this video here, I'm going to try something a little different. I'll go through the info dump and give you my personal thoughts throughout. So with that, let's get on with the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe for future Axial GT content. Your support is much appreciated. So Aeternum is a place of struggle. Not only will you have to contend with the forces of corruption, but you must also protect yourself from other players. Claiming a territory is a good first step in establishing a foothold, providing security and resources for the days ahead. But it also puts you at greater risk when someone else wants what you have. When the legions of the corrupted attempt to take your fort, this is called the corrupted invasion. When other players want to overthrow your territory for their faction, this is war. And this is one of the main reasons why I'm interested in New World. And also cause for some of my concerns, trying to cater to both PvP and PvE players. The PvE being the corrupted invasion, and the PvP being the faction wars. Not many games try to do both. It's usually an either-or scenario, and which is, like I said previously, is the cause for my excitement and also my concern. I'm really hopeful though that Amazon Game Studios can pull it off. But back to the article. But before you can wage war on another faction's territory, you must first weaken the territory to a point where it's vulnerable enough to have war declared on it. In order to do that, you must perform the required amount of faction missions. When you go to war, you go on the behalf of your faction. The three factions are locked in a constant struggle for control over Aeternum. And those factions are the Covenant, the Syndicate, and the Marauders. A faction is made up of companies that have declared their loyalty to that faction. When the required tasks have been completed to put a territory into a conflict state, there is a lottery to decide what company will lead the charge in battle. And that company is known as the Vanguard. If your company has been selected as the Vanguard, the governor can select members of their company to fill the attacking ranks for the 50v50 war. If they have enough members, they can fill the war entirely with members of their company. However, if a smaller company is selected, then they can pick anyone from their faction or even pick volunteers from the third faction to be involved in the war. For example, if a company from the Syndicate has declared war on a territory owned by the Marauders and they don't have enough warriors to fill their ranks, they can enlist help from members of the Covenant. If you'd like to offer up your sword and volunteer for wars, you must travel to the territory where the war is being fought and sign up on the war boards in the settlement or outside the fort. Wars will take place in a specific window of time that are set by the defending company. Being able to set a time for the war takes place helps for better coordination of the participants. This also removes the potential for offline raiding or wars taking place during inconvenient hours for the majority of the members involved. Once you've been selected to fight, make sure you're logged in and ready because you'll be getting a notification before the war begins. When the time comes for battle, you'll be teleported to where you are on Aeternum straight to the battlefield. Now here is where a problem may arise, especially if you're part of a large company, or it could just be me making a mountain out of a molehill. But if you're part of a large company, let's say that has 75 members, there is a chance, even though you've signed up, you may not get to participate in the 50v50 war. Now it could just be something we have to wait and see, but it is something I was thinking about. I thought I'd throw it out there. But as the battle begins, the attacking army will attempt to breach the walls of the fort and capture its claim, thus taking over ownership of the whole territory for their faction. Before any gates can be damaged or breached, the attackers must first capture 3 rally points in front of the fort. Once captured, they cannot be retaken by the defenders, and the front line is pushed even closer. Rally points can be used by the team as respawn points or to access the armory. The defending team will also use everything at their disposal to repel the invaders. Now when it comes to weapons of war, I admit this is one of the coolest parts of the game, or hoping it is anyway. An extra layer of strategy and tactics are introduced to the equation when you start building siege weapons and siege platforms. As an attacker, you can spend your battle tokens at the war camp's armory to acquire siege platforms and build them on the battlefield, similar to how they are acquired and used during the corrupted invasions. You gain additional battle tokens by contributing to the battle. The defending fort will be able to build siege weapons along their walls to help them fend off the attack. These siege weapons won't come at a cost to the defenders, but just how powerful these siege weapons are will be dictated by how they've been upgraded through the territory progression system prior to the war. So if you want to protect your fort with the strongest siege weapons available, make sure you're doing the required town projects back at your company's settlement. There are multiple entries into the fort which defenders will need to divide their attention and siege weapons between. Defenders also have siege supplies that are auto-generated during war by siege supply generators. These resources can be used to repair structures, including gates, armories, siege supply generators, and siege weapons. Siege weapons and platforms are game changers. Now we'll go ahead and go over the attacker's siege platforms and the defender's siege weapons that Amazon Game Studios has kindly provided images of. And I have to say, this stuff looks really cool. I can't wait to play this game. We'll first start off with the attacker's siege platforms. This here is a cannon platform. With the medium rate of fire and the highest damage per hit, the cannon is most effective against structures and large slow-moving targets. Several cannons focusing their fire can quickly demolish any defensive structure. Next is a fire launcher platform. The fire launcher launches a flaming projectile that bursts on impact and covers the entire area in fire. And it's most effective against infantry and is a good way to counter ranged opponents shooting from the fort's ramparts. It's also effective in aerial denial and keeping opponents out of capture points. And now we have the repeater platform. The repeater is a rapid-fire turret that launches bolts at very high speeds. Individually, the bolts don't do a lot of damage, but sustained fire can quickly whittle infantry down. It's most effective against smaller and quicker targets that the other turrets are having a hard time hitting. Now here's the defender's side of things. Defenders have siege weapons. This is the ballista. The ballista is the defender's version of the cannon and serves the same role as the anti-structure siege weapon. It has a medium rate of fire, very high damage per shot, and is most effective against structures and large slower moving targets. This is the explosive cannon. The explosive cannon fires an explosive shot that disrupts and knocks enemies back. It's most effective against groups of infantry and provides area of denial, like at the rally points in front of the fort. However, its low rate of fire makes it largely ineffective against fast-moving targets. Now we have the repeater turret. The defender's version of the repeater is functionally the same as the attacker's. High rate of fire, low damage per shot, and most effective against smaller, quicker targets. And now we have the fire dropper. The fire dropper pours burning molten liquid down on anyone below. It does high damage over time, making it the most effective against groups of enemies attacking the gate. And lastly, we have the Horn of Resilience. The Horn of Resilience provides a temporary healing and defensive buff to all the allies in the area. It has a lengthy cooldown, but can turn the tide of battle when used at the right moment. Now we have the traps that can be used by attackers or defenders. First we have the Inferno Mine. When an enemy gets close enough, the Inferno Mine bursts and covers the area in fire. It is highly effective at area denial and most effective when placed in choke points. And lastly we have the Powder Keg. The Powder Keg does the highest damage of any siege weapon, making it extremely effective against gates. Its fuse must be lit manually and has a lengthy duration. The Powder Keg won't detonate if it's destroyed early, requiring players to actively defend it. Now once the war has come to its climactic end, players on both sides of the conflict will be teleported off the battlefield so they can continue their adventures in Aeternum. Should the attacking army prevail, they now control the territory and everything in it, planting a new flag in the name of their faction and pushing the front lines forward toward total dominance. So what do you guys think of on how New World is shaping up? I'm for one am excited, as I said earlier, but I do have concerns. I'm afraid Amazon Game Studios might bite off more than they can chew, with focusing on PvE and PvP. But I am hopeful they can pull it off. But go ahead and tell me what you think of Amazon's New World in the comments below, and any concerns you might have. I read all of them. And don't forget to subscribe for future Axial GT content. It helps out smaller creators. But until next time, I'm out of here. You all be safe and have a good one.